Hey y'all, July 29th, Wednesday, middle of the week. Oh wait, it's Saturday to me. Anyway, I'm retired, right? Hey, so my neighbor, Patty and Matt next door, she had some extra collard greens and she asked me to come over and get it because she couldn't use them all. And I said, sure. So I decided to cook up a batch and I've got everything in there except the ham hock. And then I did some cornbread. And then I got thinking, once again, you shall all see the smoke, that people don't know anything about me. My kids don't know. My kids don't know what I did, where I went all my life once they become adults. So I'm going to do a story. Involves, collard greens. See my garlic I grew? That's just some of it. And then I got tomatoes on the porch. I got tomatoes everywhere. Anyway, so I was working Big Bend Community College in Moses Lake, Washington for Marriott, or at that time, Sodexo/Marriott. That's a whole nother story. If you don't understand that story, I'll do one later on that. Anyway, I was the general manager there for over 2 years for the food service, and was me and the dean of students, Joel Kostman. We arrived within a week of each other. We were there 2 years together, had a great time, great teamwork for all the students. Man, I have some stories for that I need to do. But let's get back to this. So anyway, was there both of us a little over 2 years, and we were the management, the president, and the president was Bonatti, and the VP was Ken Turner, and they informed my district manager, that they wanted a change of GM-ship, which, that's fine. I was a troubleshooting manager every 2 or 3 years. They moved me anyway. So, and Joel was asked to leave also. They found a different dean, I guess. Anyway, I put in on the Sodexo Marriott list of all the management openings and stuff, and there was an opening for an assistant manager of sort at Ouachita Baptist University in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. That's a mouthful. So Truett Cathy from Chick-fil-A graduated from there. Mike Huckabee, who was the governor at the time, who now is the ambassador to Israel for the United States. And actually his daughter, sensational governor, Sarah Huckabee. God, do we need you in New York? I know, off the subject again, but that's what happens when you have that mild ADHD, I guess. Anyway, so Rich and I talked, and he flew me down for an interview, picked me up at the St. Louis airport, and we were going to buzz right back down to Arkadelphia, which is about 60 miles. And he said, hey, if you don't mind, my son's playing baseball. I want to catch the last couple innings. He said, and I'll take you out to eat afterwards. I said, hey, that's okay. That works for me. So we did some chit-chatting during the game, watched the game, and then he took me over to Cracker Barrel for dinner. You got to remember, Arkadelphia, Arkansas, population 10 to 12,000 people, normal. 15 to 16,000 when both the colleges, Ouachita Baptist and the State College across the street, was open. So we sit down, and the waitress comes over, and she goes to take the order, and Rich orders, and then she looks at me and she goes, and what would you like, sir? And I go, well, just bring me anything you want. And Rich looked at me like I was strange, and she said, what? And I said, well, you don't have anything on the menu that I don't like, so just pick it. I don't care. I deal with food all day long. So she picked an item, and then she asked me, she said, well, what kind of vegetables? And I go, I don't care. Well, Rich looks at me and then looks at her and goes, bring them collard greens and some black-eyed peas. So she goes to write it down, and just as she turns to walk away, I look at her and says, oh, ma'am, by the way, make sure you bring the apple cider vinegar with you. Oh, that surprised Rich. He thought he was going to get me with some Southern foods. Little does he know, or did know, that my roots, my dad and my grandfather both came from Portsmouth, Virginia. I've been down south quite a while. But oh, and then I got to tell you about this. So that's the end of the collard green story. Let me tell you the rest of it. So the next morning, he picks me up at the hotel, says we're going to go up to Walnut Ridge up in the northeast corner to interview at one of the campuses that he wanted me to GM ship. And I agreed to that. That's not a problem. And so we went up to Walnut Ridge and I did the interview. Unfortunately, the president of the college, his mother had just passed away like days before. So